Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing an Eldlich deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an amazing control deck that plays the most Gucci card ever created. Eldlich the Golden Lord. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description in every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Eldlich the Golden Gucci Lord. This card is an awesome 3 of in the deck. You can play just 2 copies, but I've always loved playing 3 copies of the Golden Gucci Lord himself, because this card helps you spot remove cards off the field. That you can send this card and a spell or trap card from your hand to the graveyard, and then target one card on the field and send it to the grave, which is a really good effect to be able to use, and it's just an absolutely crazy boss monster, because if it's in the graveyard, you can actually send a spell trap card that you control to the grave, add this card back to your hand, and then you can special summon it from your hand to your side of the field. And it also gains the ability that until the end of your opponent's turn, it gains 1,000 attack and defense points, and it cannot be destroyed by card effects, making this card a 3,500 attack point boss monster that you can easily back up with trap cards. We then play 3 copies of Lava Golem. Lava Golem is a awesome 3 of in the deck just to be able to get rid of your opponent's monsters on their side of the field and have a really easy target to out with your copy of Eldlich the Golden Lord. We then play a single copy of Ecclesia. Ecclesia is definitely just a 1 of in the deck, so we can easily get to this card with our copies of Nadir, and it can be easily recycled in this particular build. It's amazing to be able to play in the deck because it does search out our copies of Dogmatic Punishment, which is one of the most powerful cards we have in the deck. So that's going to do it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Nadir. Nadir's a definite 3 of the deck. This card can search out your copy of Ecclesia from your deck or your graveyard, which is a really awesome effect. And the best thing about this card is it actually lets you send a monster from your X deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect because if you send something like a copy of Elder Intinist, you get a search and a pop, or if you send a copy of Garua, you'll get a draw and a search, which is a great effect to be able to use with this card. This card is a really awesome 3 of in this build. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. Pot of Prosperity is a definite 3 in the build just to help us dig into the deck for the exact cards that we need, and a more budget option for this card would actually be 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance, which you guys can play over the copies of Pot of Prosperity if you want to. But this card is just amazing to help you dig 6 cards deep into the deck to get the exact card that you need. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine. This card is an awesome 3 of in the deck that helps you special summon out your copy of Eldlich the Golden Lord from your deck or graveyard, which is a really good effect to be able to use with this card. It also has the ability you can banish this card from your graveyard and set a golden land spell or trap directly from your deck to your side of the field, but you can only use 1 effect of this card per turn and only once that turn. We then play 3 copies of Dogmatic Punishment. Dogmatic Punishment is an awesome card. Just like your copies of Nadir, this card lets you send a monster from your X deck to the graveyard, which is a really good effect. It lets you target a face-up monster that your opponent controls and send a monster with equal or higher attack from your X deck to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that monster. But until the end of the next turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon a monster in the X deck, but that's totally fine because we have Eldlich the Golden Gucci Lord in our main deck. We don't need to summon from the extra deck. This card is amazing because it can be a pop 2, it can be a pop and a draw, it can be a bunch of different effects that you can get off this card, which is just really, really good. We then play 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. Torrential Tribute is amazing because when you summon your copy of Eldlich the Golden Lord back from your graveyard, it cannot be destroyed by card effects, so you can actually make this card live by bringing him back to your side of the field, which will destroy all the monsters on the field, which is a really good effect. This card is amazing right now, and board breakers are really good, so this card is a definite 3 of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Huakero. Huakero is really good as a 3 of in the deck to be able to banish a card card from your opponent's graveyard, but this card is a really powerful ability that special summons this card as a trap monster to your side of the field that is a zombie light, level 5, 1800 attack, and 1500 defense, and this card is also still treated as a trap. Then, if you control an Eldlich the Golden Lord, you can banish one card from either player's graveyard, which is a really cool ability. And during the end phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard to set an Elixir spell or trap directly from your deck to your side of the field, but you can only use one effect of this card per turn, which helps you get to your copy of Scarlet, which is just really good. We then play 3 copies of Conquistador. Conquistador is really good in this deck as a 3-up, because it's just an awesome card to be able to play in the deck that special summons itself like your copy of Huakero. This card special summons itself as a zombie light, level 5 with 500 attack and 1800 defense, and if a copy of Eldlich Golden Lord is on your side of the field, you get to target a face-up card on the field and destroy it, which is a really good effect. And it shares the same ability that during the end phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then send an Elixir spell or trap directly from your deck, but you can only use one effect of this card per turn and only once that turn. We then play 3 copies of There Can Be Only One. There Can Be Only One is a really powerful card in the deck that's basically just going to stop your opponent in their tracks, which has the ability that each player can only control one monster of each type. And if a player controls 2 or more monsters of the same type, they must send some to the graveyard so they only control one type, which is not that big of a deal because it's basically just going to lock down your opponent, and it's a really easy card to out in this deck with your copy of Eldlich the Golden Lord because you can turn it on during your opponent's turn and then send it to the graveyard during your turn to be able to summon your copy of Eldlich the Golden Lord back to your side of the field, so you can start activating your copies of Huakero and Conquistador. But this card is insane right now because it stops so many different strategies and it hurts the opponent a lot more than it hurts us, because at the end of the day, we still have a 3500 attack point boss monster that can't be destroyed by card effects that can summon itself back from the grave. So this card is really, really good. We then play 3 copies of Gozen Match. Gozen Match is amazing because we really only summon light, and this card is really good in the deck because each player can only control one attribute of monster and send all other face-up monsters they control to the graveyard, so they only control one attribute. We only summon light, so it's very rare that we summon anything but light on our side of the field, and again, we can out this card with our copy of Eldlich the Golden Lord if we need to turn it off. So this card is just really good in this particular build to be able to use against the opponent. We then play 3 copies of Skill Drain. Skill Drain is a definite 3-up floodgate in the deck because all of our monster effects, which is just our copies of our Eldlich the Golden Lord, resolve off the field. They resolve in the hand or in the graveyard, and the only monster that resolves on the field is our copy of Ecclesia. And we only play a single copy of it, and it's very easy to work around that card. So this card is really good in the deck to be able to turn off all the monster effects because we're playing with trap monsters and a copy of Eldlich the Golden Lord that resolves in the hand and in the graveyard. We then play 3 copies of Solemn Strike because this card says just say no. This card is great because when a monster would be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, pay 15 or life points, negate the summon or activation, and if you do, destroy that card. This card is a definite 3-up deck and is a really powerful card right now to stop your opponent's summons. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with a single copy of Pleiades. Pleiades is a definite 1-up in the deck to be able to help you bounce cards off the field. It's just a really awesome card that we can summon in this deck because it's very easy to make this card on your side of the field because our trap monsters are light level 5. We then play a single copy of Volcasaurus. We can make this card very easily by using 2 of our trap monsters to make this card. And it pops a monster on the field and does burn damage, but it cannot attack. But we have a very easy way to be able to get around that by making a copy of Gaia Dragon, the Thunder Charger, on top of it, which is a very old school play, but still very effective. Plus, you can make a copy of Zeus on top of this card after it attacks, which is really good. We then play a single copy of Gustav Max. Gustav Max is an amazing card in the deck because it helps you do 2,000 points of burn damage and then step into a copy of Juggernaut Lieb, which is a OTK machine. This card gets absolutely massive, and it's very easy to make your copy of Gustav Max by using 2 copies of Eldlich the Golden Lord. We then play a single copy of AA Zeus. AA Zeus is very easy to make in this deck with any of our XZ monsters, especially if you make it a copy of Volcasaurus first, then make Gaia Charger, and then during main 2 we make Zeus, and Zeus usually will come out with 4 materials that way, which is really insane. We then play 2 copies of Elder Entity Nis, getting into the Nadir and our copies of Dogmatic Punishment targets. This card is amazing in the deck because it makes it super easy to get an additional pop by sending this card to the graveyard off of either of those cards' effects. We then play 2 copies of Garua. Garua is amazing in this particular build because when it touches the graveyard, you actually get to draw a card, which is a great ability. We then play a single copy of the Tri-Brigade Arms. This card is great in the deck as a 1-up because this card is super easy to send to the graveyard off your copy of your Dogmatic Punishment, because then it'll actually let you send a copy of Garua, and it's just really good because it has 3,500 attack points, so it's going to be easy to out a bunch of monsters that your opponent might have on the field with Dogmatic Punishment while also getting a draw. We then play a single copy of the Light Charmer. This card works great in the deck to help you get your light monsters off your side of the field so you can use them again, and it's just a really good card in the deck. We then play 2 copies of Link Spider. Link Spider is great in this deck as a 2-up because it helps you get your copies of your different Golden Land trap monsters off your side of the field by linking them away for this card so you can recycle them later, which is just really good. And then we finally play a single copy of Artemis because Artemis is great to be able to get your copy of Ecclesia off your side of the field so you can grab it back out of the graveyard with another copy of Nadir, so it's always live. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Eldlich before, you definitely should give this deck a try, just because it plays Eldlich, the Golden Gucci Lord. I absolutely love this card, and it's just super fun. I've had this deck ever since it was released, and it's been one of my favorite decks to play. So that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.